Your new life won't begin until you stop living the old one. That's the line that changes everything. Because the truth is, nothing around you will improve until you decide to improve what's happening inside you. If you're watching this right now, it means something in you is ready. Ready to break the cycle. Ready to walk away from old habits, tired routines, and the version of yourself that you know is no longer enough. Stop presenting. Destiny is waiting, and the version of yourself that you know is no longer enough. This isn't about starting over. It's about starting better. A new life isn't built on motivation. It's built on commitment. Real, daily, personal effort. In this audiobook, you'll learn what it really takes to start a new life from the ground up. Not in theory, but in action. No fluff, no empty advice, just a clear path built for real people who are done waiting. If you've been saying, "I want change," this is the moment to prove it. Your new life starts here. Chapter 1. Walk away from the version of you that's settled. You don't start a new life by doing the same things that made you feel stuck in the first place. You start a new life by walking away from the version of you that decided to settle. The version that got comfortable with just enough. The version that looked around, saw everyone else playing it safe, and thought, maybe this is all life has to offer. You can't carry the same thoughts, the same behaviors, and the same attitude and expect everything to feel different. If you want different, you have to be different. Not someday. Now. Right now. That's the truth. Too many people wake up each morning and go through the motions. They follow the same pattern they did yesterday. They react the same way. They avoid the same challenges. They hold on to the same regrets. They complain about the same problems. And they hope maybe tomorrow will be better. But it won't. Not if you stay tied to the person who accepted a life that doesn't inspire you. There's a moment where you stop and face it. You look yourself in the mirror and say, I know I've settled. I know I could have done better. I know I've let fear control my decisions. I know I've avoided the hard things because I didn't believe in myself. That moment, as uncomfortable as it is where real change begins. That moment is powerful. You cannot start over until you admit what you've been avoiding. The old version of you didn't just show up by accident. You became that person one small compromise at a time. You chose comfort instead of growth. You chose doubt instead of belief. You chose routine instead of risk. And with every choice you built a life that doesn't match who you know you could be. But here's the beautiful part. The future doesn't care about your past. You can wake up tomorrow and be a new person. Not because it's easy, but because it's possible. You don't need permission. You don't need someone to understand it. You just need to want it more than you want to stay the same. Starting a new life doesn't mean changing everything overnight. It means being honest about who you've become. It means deciding, this is not how my story ends. That's where you begin. That's where you stand up and walk away from the version of you that gave up too soon. The one who made excuses, the one who waited for the right moment, the one who kept putting life on hold. The truth is, that version of you might be popular in your world. People might like that you play small. They might be comfortable with your average habits. They might feel safe when you don't grow. But you didn't come this far just to make others feel okay. You didn't come this far to keep living under your potential. You came here to grow, to lead, to win. And none of that will happen if you keep dragging around the weight of who you used to be. People ask me, how do I start over? I say, stop calling it starting over. You're not erasing your past. You're learning from it. You're taking every mistake and every lesson and you're turning it into fuel. You don't need to be ashamed of your past. You just need to stop living in it. The old version of you didn't have this awareness, but now you do. That version of you didn't see clearly. That version of you didn't know what you know now. But here you are, awake, present, ready. You see, every time you chose comfort, you paid a price. Every time you stayed quiet when you wanted more, you lost a piece of yourself. Every time you said, "I'll do it later," you delayed your freedom. So if you really want to start a new life, you've got to stop pretending that the old one didn't cost you something. You've got to walk away from the lies you believed. Lies like, "I'm not good enough." Lies like, "It's too late for me." Lies like, "People like me don't change." That's not truth. That's fear talking, and fear is a liar. Here's the truth. If you're breathing, it's not too late. If you're waking up with even the smallest desire to change, that's your soul telling you there's more for you. But you have to listen to that voice. You have to stop silencing it with excuses and distractions. You don't get a new life by scrolling for hours. You don't find yourself by staying busy all the time. You find yourself by being real, by getting quiet, by taking a hard look at where you are and saying, "This is not the best I can do." I know some people are tired. Tired of trying. Tired of failing. Tired of feeling stuck. But tired doesn't mean finished. Tired means you need a reset. You need to look at everything you've been doing and ask, is this helping me become who I want to be? If the answer is no, you walk away from it. You walk away from people who drain your energy. You walk away from habits that leave you feeling empty. You walk away from goals that aren't even yours. And you walk toward the life that feels right, even if it's hard. And it will be hard. You'll want to go back. You'll want to slip into the old version of you that didn't care, that didn't try, that didn't risk anything. But you can't build a better life with the same thinking that built your old one. You need to raise your standards, raise your energy, raise your actions. The new you deserves better than recycled excuses. The new you doesn't settle just because it's convenient. The new you fights for your future like your life depends on it. Because it does. You have one life, and you can either live it stuck in the story that's already been written, or you can write a new one. But to write something new, you have to let the old one go. That version of you had its time. It taught you things, it brought you here, but now it's time to leave it behind. You're not here to be a shadow of who you could be. You're not here to wake up dreading your days. You're not here to keep pretending that things are fine when they're not. You're here to change, to lead, to grow, to move forward. And it all starts when you walk away from the version of you that settled. So make that decision, not next week, not next month, now. Because if you don't choose to walk away from the life you've outgrown, you'll stay stuck in it. And deep down you already know that. This is your time to walk, not because it's easy, but because it's the only way you'll ever find out who you really are. And that version, the one waiting on the other side of your comfort, is worth every step. Chapter 2. Choose what matters more than your past pain. There comes a time in your life when you have to decide what you care about more, your future or your pain, because you can't hold on to both. One will grow and the other will fade, and the one that grows is the one you choose every day, not just once. Pain has a way of sticking around. It shows up when you're alone. It speaks up when you're quiet. It brings back old memories, old conversations, and old regrets. Pain keeps reminding you of what didn't work out, who let you down, and what went wrong. And if you're not careful, that pain starts making your choices for you. It tells you not to try again. It tells you people can't be trusted. It tells you to play it safe. And because it sounds familiar, you believe it. That's how pain becomes a habit. Not because it deserves to stay, but because you've stopped choosing something better. But if you want to start a new life, you've got to stop making your decisions based on what hurt you. You've got to choose what matters more. What matters more than being right? What matters more than staying safe? What matters more than never feeling pain again? There's no freedom in living in the past. There's no power in being stuck in what happened. Yes, it was real. Yes, it hurt. But it's done. And your future won't wait while you sit there trying to fix something that's already over. You don't need to forget the pain. You just need to stop letting it decide your next move. You can carry the lesson, but you don't need to carry the weight. At some point, you have to say, what happened doesn't define who I am. It doesn't decide how I show up today. Because if you keep choosing your pain, you'll keep living in survival mode. You'll keep defending yourself. You'll keep overthinking everything. You'll keep waiting for people to hurt you. And that kind of life is not living, it's just existing. But if you choose what matters more, your values, your growth, your peace, you start to take your power back. You stop reacting and start responding. You stop avoiding life and start creating it. That's what starting a new life really means. It means choosing what you believe in. Not what happened, not what they said, not what you lost, but what you believe is still possible. And that choice has to come from a place of truth. Not from fear, not from guilt, not from the pressure to prove yourself, but from a real desire to grow. Some people stay stuck because they confuse pain with identity. They think because they were hurt, that's who they are now. They say things like, I'm broken, or I'll never be the same. And they repeat those beliefs so often, it becomes the lens they see life through. But that lens isn't truth. It's just a reflection of pain that hasn't been healed yet. You are not your pain, you're not your failure, you're not the worst thing that's ever happened to you. You are a person who lived through it, and the fact that you're still here says something. It means there's more for you. But to get to it, you have to stop going back. The new life you want is built on the choices you make today, not on the pain you experienced yesterday. And every time you choose growth over bitterness, peace over blame, courage over fear, you're building something stronger. You start moving different. You start thinking different. You stop wasting energy on what can't be changed and start focusing on what can. That's when you get your clarity back. That's when you start feeling like yourself again. But it doesn't happen by accident. It's not just a mindset shift. It's a daily commitment to walk in the direction of what matters, and you won't always feel like it. Some days that pain will come knocking. Some days the doubt will be loud. But you've got to look it in the eye and say, not today. I've got something more important to build. You have goals. You have values. You have people who need the best version of you. You have a life that's waiting to be lived. And none of that can grow if you keep feeding your pain with attention. So, you've got to shift your focus. Not by pretending everything's fine, but by making room for something better. Ask yourself, what do I want more than to be angry? What do I want more than to stay hurt? What do I want more than another excuse to shut down? Because there's always something better if you're willing to go after it. Maybe it's peace. Maybe it's confidence. Maybe it's building a life where you don't have to keep looking over your shoulder. Whatever it is, make that your focus. Pain will always try to remind you of who you were, but your values will remind you of who you want to become. Choose that. Choose who you're becoming over who you were. Choose your future over your fear. Choose love over resentment. And watch how everything begins to shift. That shift doesn't happen in one big moment. It happens in 1,000 small ones. When you speak kindly to yourself. When you stop explaining your past to people who don't care. When you give yourself permission to start again, even if no one else understands. It's in the quiet choices. The ones nobody sees. The ones where you walk away from a fight because your peace matters more. The ones where you say no to something that feels familiar but not right. The ones where you do the work without applause, just because it brings you closer to the person you want to be. And little by little, that becomes your new life. Not because everything's perfect, but because you've decided to stop living in pain. You've decided that your life has meaning beyond the past. That your energy is too valuable to waste on blame. That your mind deserves better than replaying the same story. This is what real freedom looks like. Not pretending to be happy, but being honest enough to say, I'm done letting pain run my life. That's not weakness, that's strength. That's courage. That's leadership. And it's a choice you make every day, not just when it's easy, not just when you're inspired, but when you're tired, when you're tempted to go back, when the past feels more comfortable than the unknown. That's when your decision matters most. You won't always get it right, but every time you choose what matters more than your pain, you make progress. You prove to yourself that the past is not stronger than your will to grow, and that proof builds confidence. It builds belief. It builds momentum. Before long, you'll wake up and realize you don't feel the weight you used to carry. You don't react the way you used to. You don't shrink yourself to make others comfortable. You've started a new life. One that's not about surviving, but thriving. One that's built on choice, not circumstance. And it all started when you made one decision: to stop feeding your pain and start feeding your purpose. To stop chasing closure and start building peace. To stop hoping the past would change and start creating a future that excites you. So now the question is, what matters more to you? Holding on to the pain or stepping into the life that's waiting? Because you can't have both. And the sooner you choose, the sooner everything changes.
Chapter 3. Do the hard things you always try to avoid. Most people know what they need to do. It's not a mystery, it's not hidden. Deep down, they know exactly what's holding them back. They just avoid it. They walk around it. They distract themselves from it. They tell themselves they'll get to it later. But the truth is, later never comes. What comes is another excuse, another delay, another reason to stay comfortable. That's the habit. Avoid what's hard and convince yourself it's not the right time. But here's the thing. The hard things you keep putting off are the very things that will set you free. The conversations you don't want to have, the changes you don't want to make, the habits you don't want to break, the uncomfortable truths you don't want to face. All of it, right there, is where your new life begins. Not after it, not around it, not once you feel ready, but right through it. When you avoid what's hard, you don't avoid the problem. You avoid the growth, and that delay doesn't protect you. It only weakens you, because every time you choose the easy way out, you lose a little more belief in yourself. You train your mind to back down when life gets real, and before long, everything starts to feel like too much. Most people don't fail because they're not smart enough. They fail because they refuse to face what's uncomfortable. They'll read about change, they'll talk about it, they'll plan for it, but they won't do the part that actually moves the needle. Why? Because that part hurts. It's heavy. It's not fun. But it's real, and real change doesn't feel good in the beginning. It challenges everything that's kept you safe. Doing the hard thing means waking up earlier, even when your body says sleep. It means having the talk you've been avoiding, because you don't want conflict. It means putting your phone down and doing the work that actually matters. It means saying no when it's easier to say yes. It means being honest with yourself when no one's watching. That's the real work, the kind that changes your character, not just your calendar. You don't build strength by doing what's convenient. You build strength by showing up when it's inconvenient, by doing what you promised yourself you'd do long after the mood to do it has faded. That's where self-respect comes from knowing you can count on yourself even when things are hard. Some people will tell you to find your passion, but that's not enough. What you need is grit, discipline, guts. Because passion feels good when it's easy, but it disappears when life pushes back, and life will push back. It doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't wait for your motivation. Life rewards the ones who show up and do what needs to be done, especially when they don't feel like it. There's no shortcut around that. You either step into the discomfort or you stay stuck in the same patterns. You either push through the resistance or let it run your life. But understand this, the hard thing will always be there. You can avoid it today, but it'll show up again tomorrow, and the next day, until you face it, until you handle it, until you take control. Start paying attention to the things you avoid, the people you avoid, the tasks you avoid, the choices you keep pushing away. That's the map. That's your exact direction. And the longer you avoid it, the louder it grows in your mind. It drains your energy. It steals your peace. It keeps you in a cycle of stress that never seems to end. You'll feel tired, not because you're doing too much, but because you're avoiding what matters. There's a different kind of exhaustion that comes from procrastination. It's mental. It's emotional. It weighs on you, and no amount of rest will fix it. Only action will. Taking on what's hard doesn't mean you have to suffer through life. It means you care enough to do what's required. It means you understand that ease is a trap when it comes too soon. It means you're willing to feel some pain now to avoid a lifetime of regret later. Every time you step into something you've been avoiding, you take your power back. You tell your mind, I run the show now. You stop letting your emotions drive the car. You start building real confidence. Not the fake kind that needs praise, but the deep kind that comes from doing what's right when no one else would. That kind of growth isn't loud. It doesn't always come with a big moment. Sometimes it's just sitting down to finish something when you'd rather scroll. Sometimes it's saying I was wrong, even though your pride hates it. Sometimes it's choosing discipline over comfort 10 times in a row without anyone noticing. That's the kind of work that builds a new life, quietly, daily, relentlessly. And the best part, it stacks. Each hard thing you face makes the next one feel smaller. What once felt impossible starts to feel normal. You stop overthinking everything. You stop doubting every move. You stop needing permission to level up, because now you've proven to yourself that you can do the things that scare you. You don't have to feel brave to act brave. You just have to act. The courage comes after the action, not before. That's something most people don't understand. They wait for confidence before doing what's hard, but confidence is built in the doing. It's earned. And the only way to earn it is to stop running from what you know needs to be done. The world won't change for you. Your life won't change by accident. No one is coming to rescue you. And that's a good thing. because that means it's in your hand. That means you don't have to wait anymore. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to start doing the things you've been avoiding. The things that scare you are usually the things that matter most. The thing that's been sitting on your mind for weeks, that's your signal. The conversation you know you need to have, that's your path. The thing you've been putting off until later, that's the thing to do now. If you keep avoiding it, it doesn't go away. It grows. It fills your time with guilt. It fills your head with doubt. And every day you delay it, the weight gets heavier. Until one day, it's all you think about and you start believing it's too late. But it's not too late, you just need to start. One decision, one action, one uncomfortable moment that you choose to face head on. That's how it starts. And once it starts, momentum kicks in, discipline kicks in, self-respect kicks in, and the hard things stop feeling like punishment. They start feeling like freedom. You become the kind of person who handles things, who doesn't flinch, who doesn't wait for someone to tell you what to do. That person is in you, but you have to fight for them. You have to strip away the parts of you that seek comfort more than progress. Doing the hard thing isn't about pushing through forever without rest. It's about doing what's necessary when it matters. It's about showing up when it counts. It's about owning your choices and being willing to struggle for something bigger than convenience. Your goals aren't going to chase you. Your growth isn't going to happen on accident. You've got to show up for it. Not just once, but over and over again. When it's boring, when it's awkward, when it's frustrating, when it feels like it's not working. That's when it counts. This is how strong people are made. This is how leaders are built. Not through inspiration, but through commitment to doing the hard things, especially the ones they've always avoided. Now's the time to stop running. Stop waiting. Stop explaining. Do the thing you've been avoiding. Start where you are, with what you have, and let the rest fall into place after you've done your part. Because once you start doing the hard things, your life starts moving in the right direction. It may not be fast, it may not be easy, but it will be real. And real progress is the only kind worth chasing.
Chapter 4. Build a routine that makes you proud daily. Your life won't change until your days do. That's the truth most people avoid, because it sounds too simple, but it's real. The way you spend your day is the way you spend your life, and the difference between the people who move forward and the ones who stay stuck often comes down to one thing: what they choose to repeat every single day. Your routine either builds your future or it blocks it. When you build a routine that makes you proud, you're not just managing time, you're shaping your identity. You're making daily choices that match the person you want to become. You're deciding every morning, I'm going to live with purpose, not autopilot. And that decision, repeated consistently, creates real power. But here's what gets in the way. Most people build routines based on comfort or convenience, not clarity. They wake up when they feel like it. They start their day reacting to whatever shows up. They check their phone before they check in with themselves, and then they wonder why their days feel out of control. It's not that life is too chaotic, it's that they've never taken ownership of their time. You can't keep living with no structure and expect to feel good about yourself. The body knows. The mind knows. There's a kind of frustration that grows when you say you want change, but your actions don't reflect it. And that's where the guilt and anxiety come from. Not because you're not enough, but because you're not living in alignment with who you want to be. A strong routine brings that alignment. It keeps you grounded. It gives you direction. It removes the guesswork from your day.
You don't have to waste energy thinking about what to do next, because you've already decided. That's the power of a good routine. It frees your mind to focus on what matters. But let's be honest, building a routine that makes you proud is not about copying what someone else does. It's not about some fancy productivity system. It's about getting brutally honest with yourself. It's about asking, what habits will help me grow? And then doing those things even when you don't feel like it. It starts the moment you wake up. What's the first thing you do? That one choice sets the tone for everything else. If you hit snooze 5 times, if you scroll your phone before you even sit up, if you start your day rushing and reacting, you're already behind, not behind other people, behind your own potential. You've got to start your day with intention. Get out of bed like your life means something. Create a morning that gives you momentum. That might be journaling. That might be going for a walk. That might be sitting in silence and deciding who you want to be today. It doesn't have to be long. It just has to be real. You're not looking for a ritual. You're looking for results. A routine that makes you proud isn't about perfection. It's about consistency. You don't need to do 10 things. You need to do the right things every day, no matter what. And the truth is, the more consistent your routine becomes, the less motivation you need, because now it's just what you do. It becomes part of you. But here's the catch. You've got to protect it. Life will always try to steal your attention. People will pull you in different directions. Distractions will feel more urgent than your goals. And if you don't defend your time, it will disappear. That's why you need structure. That's why you need a routine that's not just based on what feels good, but based on what builds you. And it's not just about morning. It's about your entire day. What do you do when no one's watching? How do you use the in-between moments? What choices do you make when it's 3 p.m. and you're tired? That's where discipline is built. Not when things are easy, but when no one's checking in, and you still choose to do the work. It's also about your evenings. How you end your day matters. A strong evening routine gives your mind closure. It helps you reset. It prepares you for tomorrow. If you stay up too late doing things that drain you, if you go to bed with chaos still in your head, you rob yourself of peace. You rob yourself of rest. And without rest, your routine starts to fall apart. That's why you need habits that restore you, not just push you. A powerful routine includes time to breathe, time to reflect, time to reconnect with yourself. It's not just about doing more. It's about doing what matters with energy, with focus, with intention. And over time, something shifts. You begin to trust yourself more. You stop needing other people to push you. You stop second-guessing everything. You wake up knowing what needs to be done, and you do it, not because you have to, but because it makes you feel strong, because it makes you feel proud. That pride is not ego, it's the quiet satisfaction of knowing you showed up today with discipline, that you followed through on your values, that you didn't waste time making excuses, that you lived this day in a way you can feel good about. You don't need the perfect plan. You need a plan that makes you feel alive. You need a plan that you're willing to follow when things get tough. That's the test. Can you do it when you're not in the mood? Can you stick with it when results take time? Can you push yourself when no one is clapping? That's what separates people who grow from people who stay stuck. A routine isn't magic, but it creates the space for growth. It creates momentum, and momentum builds belief. People think success is about big breakthroughs. It's not. It's about small decisions repeated every day. That's what creates progress. That's what builds character. That's what helps you break away from the past and move towards something better. And the most important part, you get to design it. No one else gets to tell you how to live. You choose what your days look like. You choose what gets your time. You choose what earns your attention. And those choices are building something, even if you don't see it yet. So don't build a routine based on guilt. Don't build one based on what you think looks impressive. Build one that brings you peace. Build one that pushes you to grow. Build one that makes you feel strong at the end of the day. That's when you know you're on the right track. When you can look back on your day and say, I gave it everything I had. I didn't waste it. I didn't run from it. I showed up. That kind of life feels different. It feels honest. It feels earned. And it starts with one day, one routine, one choice to stop drifting and start living with direction. You don't need motivation to do that. You need commitment. And once that commitment becomes part of you, your entire life starts to shift. Not because you tried harder, but because you lived smarter. You owned your time, you owned your actions, you owned your routine, and that routine started changing everything, quietly, steadily, powerfully. That's the beginning of a life you can be proud of, one day at a time, one habit at a time, one strong decision that says, I'm not wasting this day.
Chapter 5. Say no to anything that steals your energy. You only get so much energy in a day. It's limited, and how you use it determines everything about your life. If you keep giving your energy to things that drain you, you won't have enough left for what actually matters. That's why you have to start saying no. Not later. Not when it's easier. Now. Because every time you say yes to something that doesn't matter, you're saying no to something that does. Too many people live tired not because they're doing too much, but because they're doing too much of what doesn't feed them. They say yes out of guilt. They say yes to be liked. They say yes because they're afraid of missing out or upsetting someone. But deep down, they know what it costs. It costs their focus. It costs their peace. It costs their progress. And it builds frustration. The kind that eats away at you quietly. If you want to build a new life, you need to protect your energy like your future depends on it, because it does. Everything you want to become, everything you want to build, requires energy. Not just physical energy, but mental and emotional energy. And if you waste that on the wrong people, the wrong habits, or the wrong environments, you'll always feel stuck, no matter how hard you work. Saying no is not selfish. It's survival. It's clarity. It's ownership. It's you choosing to live with direction instead of reaction. And it doesn't mean you shut out the world. It means you choose carefully where your energy goes. Because once it's gone, it's gone. You can't get those minutes back. You can't rewind the time you gave to distractions. All you can do is start being more intentional from this point forward. Look around your life. What drains you? Who drains you? What habits leave you feeling empty? What conversations feel like pressure instead of connection? What routines feel more like noise than progress? That's where you start. You identify what's been stealing your energy without your permission. And once you see it clearly, you stop allowing it. Some people won't like that. They've gotten used to your availability. They've gotten used to you showing up for things that don't serve you. But this isn't about them. This is about you choosing your values over your patterns. Choosing your peace over your people-pleasing. Choosing your goals over your guilt. Not everything deserves your attention. Not every request needs your yes. You are allowed to say, that's not for me. You are allowed to walk away from conversations that drain you. You are allowed to turn down opportunities that don't match your value. You are allowed to rest without explaining yourself. You don't owe the world your exhaustion. When you say no to what drains you, you say yes to clarity. You say yes to discipline. You say yes to freedom. And that kind of focus builds momentum. You stop feeling scattered. You stop feeling resentful. You stop wondering where your time went. Because now you're the one choosing. It doesn't mean your days will be easy. It means they'll be clean, clear, aligned. You'll be doing things that matter. Spending time with people who lift you up.
investing in habits that move you forward. And even when you're tired, it will feel like the right kind of tired, the kind that comes from purpose, not pressure. Start being honest with yourself. What have you been saying yes to that you know isn't helping you? What habits have you been holding on to just because they're familiar? What relationships have you been entertaining out of fear, not love? These things take more from you than you realize, and they keep you busy, but they don't help you grow. Busyness is not the same as progress. You can be moving all day and going nowhere. You can fill your calendar and still feel empty. That's what happens when you let your energy be used up by everything except what actually matters. You don't need to respond to every message right away. You don't need to agree to every favor. You don't need to explain every boundary. You just need to protect the space where your best self grows. That space is sacred. And if you don't guard it, people will fill it with their problems, their needs and their noise. And the more you allow it, the more it becomes normal. You start thinking being drained is just part of life. That feeling burnt out means you're working hard, but that's not true. Working hard is supposed to build you, not break you. If your effort isn't matched with recovery, it's not sustainable. You can't keep pouring out energy without checking where it's going. Start checking. Not to judge yourself, but to wake yourself up. If your energy is going to things that leave you frustrated, scattered, or numb, it's time to reset. You don't need a perfect life. You need a better direction, a cleaner path, one built on intentional choices, not constant reaction. You'll never regret saying no to something that doesn't align. You'll never regret choosing your mental health. You'll never regret blocking out noise so you can hear yourself again. That's what matters. Getting back to yourself, your goals, your values, your standards. And this isn't about cutting everything off. It's about being smarter with what you keep. You can love people and still create space. You can care deeply and still say no. You can be generous and still guard your time. That's balance. That's maturity. That's leadership over your own life. You don't need to fix everything. You need to stop giving your energy to what doesn't need to be fixed by you. Some things are not your problem. Some battles are not your fight. And the more you involve yourself in things that are not your responsibility, the more you pull energy away from your mission. Real growth starts when you realize that not everything deserves access to you. Your energy is expensive, your time is valuable, and your focus is Stop giving it away like it costs nothing, because when you start respecting your energy, everything changes. You show up better. You think clearer. You build faster. This is how you create a life that feels right, not by doing more, but by doing what matters, not by being everywhere, but by being where your growth happens. And that only works if you start saying no. No to drama, no to guilt, no to distractions, no to anything that keeps you stuck in cycles that don't serve you. You don't need to explain your no. You don't need to defend it. You just need to live it. Over time, people will adjust. And if they don't, that tells you everything you need to know. This is your chance to shift, to clean up your life, by cleaning up your energy, to stop doing things out of pressure, and start doing things out of purpose. That shift won't happen all at once, but it starts with a decision. I will no longer give energy to what drains me. Say it, mean it, live it, and everything around you will start to reflect the strength of that choice. A new life isn't built just by what you add. It's built by what you remove. Remove what steals your energy, and watch how powerful you become. Chapter 6. Show up as the person you want to be. You can't wait to become the person you want to be. You have to start showing up as that person now, not later. Not when you feel more confident, not when everything in your life is perfect. Now, because if you keep waiting for the right moment to act like your best self, You'll stay stuck in the version of you that keeps falling behind. Growth doesn't come from hoping. It comes from showing up with intention, again and again. You already know what that version of you looks like. The one that's focused, the one that follows through, the one that lives with standards, the one that doesn't quit when it gets uncomfortable, the one that speaks clearly, acts boldly, and makes decisions that match their values. That version of you exists, but it doesn't just arrive. You step into it. Every choice you make either moves you closer to that person or further away. That's the truth. There's no neutral in personal growth. You're either acting in alignment with the future you want or repeating the patterns that hold you back. That's why you've got to stop thinking like the old you and start behaving like the person you know you can be. That doesn't mean pretending. It means choosing your behavior from your vision, not your emotions. Most people live based on how they feel. If they feel tired, they slow down. If they feel insecure, they hide. If they feel overwhelmed, they avoid. But living that way traps you. You end up stuck in a loop of reactivity. You let your feelings run your day, and your goals get buried under excuses. But the person you want to become doesn't wait for perfect circumstances. They act anyway. They commit anyway. They stand up and do what needs to be done even when it's hard. And that consistency builds strength. It builds self-respect. It tells your mind, this is who I am now, not someday, now. You can't just wish for change, you've got to live it. If you want to be disciplined, you do disciplined things. If you want to be confident, you take bold action. If you want to be successful, you handle your responsibilities with focus and pride. That's how change becomes real. By choosing it over and over, until it becomes who you are. Too many people wait for motivation to show up before they move. But motivation is unreliable. It comes and goes. What stays is your ability to make a decision and follow through, especially on the days you don't feel like it. That's the gap between people who grow and people who repeat. The ones who grow understand that feelings are temporary, but values are stable. They don't let their energy decide their actions. They let their standards guide them. And those standards have to be clear. You've got to define who you want to be in real terms. What time does that person wake up? How do they speak? How do they treat people? What do they do when no one's watching? How do they respond to pressure? You have to make it specific. Because if you don't define it, you won't live it. Once it's clear, it becomes a blueprint. You use that blueprint to guide your behavior, not your past habits or your current doubts. Every situation becomes a chance to ask, what would the best version of me do right now? And then you do it. Even if it feels awkward, even if it's uncomfortable, even if you're scared, because that's how you build something real. You become that person through repetition, through showing up as them, even when it feels unfamiliar, through walking into situations where your old self would have shut down, and doing it differently. That's how identity shifts. Through evidence, through small wins stacked up over time, through action that matches intention. And something powerful happens when you keep showing up. You stop overthinking. You stop doubting yourself. You stop waiting for someone else to validate you. Because now you have proof. You've shown yourself that you can live with discipline, that you can make tough choices, that you can stand tall in moments that used to break you. That proof changes your mind. It rewires your belief system. It quiets the voice that says you're not good enough, because now you've got action to back up your identity. You don't need to fake it. You've lived it. You've earned it. And that internal shift is where all lasting change begins. You don't grow by talking about who you want to be. You grow by doing the work of that person, day in and day out, even when no one notices, even when no one understands, even when it feels lonely, because you know what it's building, you know what it's leading to, and that belief becomes your fuel. Stop measuring yourself by where you used to be. Stop comparing yourself to people who don't live your life. Measure yourself by your effort, by your alignment, by your consistency. Ask yourself, did I show up today as the person I said I want to be? And if the answer is yes, you're winning. If the answer is no, you adjust. Not with guilt, with clarity, with honesty, with resolve to do better tomorrow. You're not supposed to get it perfect. You're supposed to get it real, to live it raw, to keep stepping forward, even when it's messy, even when you fall, even when you slip into old patterns. Because every time you rise again, you prove you're still in the game, still committed, still choosing your future over your fear. That's what this is about: ownership, owning your identity, owning your habits, owning your choices, owning your energy. You don't get a new life by default, you get it by decision. And the most powerful decision you can make is to stop waiting and start becoming. Your past does not define you. Your mistakes do not define you. Your current circumstances do not define you. The only thing that defines you is how you show up in your action, in your words, in your attitude, in your willingness to keep going. So show up every day as the person you want to be, even when you don't feel like it, especially when you don't feel like it, because those are the days that shape your future. Those are the days that matter most, and you will grow, you will change, you will rise, not because someone gave you permission, but because you chose to become the version of you that you respect, that you believe in, that you're proud to live with. That version is built in silence, in early mornings, in hard decisions, in small disciplines, repeated without applause, in moments where you stay focused, while others drift. That's where identity is born. That's where greatness is shaped. Quietly, steadily, honestly. So stop looking outside for answers. Start looking within. Ask yourself who you want to be, and then live like it matters. Because it does. Because your future depends on it. Because the world doesn't need another version of someone else. It needs the best version of you. Consistent, honest, grounded, focused. And that version starts now, in how you walk, in how you speak, in how you think, in how you respond. You don't have to wait to become them. You just have to start showing up, over and over, until it's not just what you do, it's who you are.
Chapter 7. Fix your mindset before trying to fix your life. If your thinking is broken, it doesn't matter how many goals you write down or how many plans you create. Nothing will work the way you want it to. Because before anything changes outside, it has to change inside. You can try to fix your habits, your schedule, your relationships, your income, but if your mindset is filled with doubt, fear, excuses, or blame, everything you build will fall apart. That's the truth a lot of people don't want to face. They want to rearrange the outside world and hope their life will improve. But real change never starts on the surface. It starts in your thinking. The way you view yourself, the way you react to struggle, the way you respond to failure. Those things shape your entire life. Your mindset is like a filter. It colors how you see everything. If you believe you're not capable, you won't try. If you think people are against you, you'll stay guarded. If you feel like life is unfair, you'll stop pushing, and those beliefs become your reality. Not because they're true, but because you never questioned them. Fixing your mindset doesn't mean pretending everything is okay. It means being honest with the thoughts that keep holding you back. It means recognizing the stories you've been repeating in your head for years. Stories about why you can't change, why it's too late, why you'll never get ahead. Those stories feel familiar, but they're not fact. They're just patterns you've picked up from past experiences, from other people's opinions, from failures you never healed from. Your life reflects the thoughts you repeat.
If you keep saying I'm not ready, I always mess up, or this is just who I am, you build a life that matches those beliefs. But if you shift that thinking even a little, you start creating space for something better. When you say, I'm learning, or I can improve, or I haven't figured it out yet, but I will, you give your mind room to grow. And when your mind grows, everything else follows. The first step is becoming aware of how you talk to yourself. Not just out loud, but silently. The little thoughts you don't share with anyone, the ones that creep in when things go wrong. The ones that make you second-guess yourself or beat yourself up. If those thoughts are negative, they will control your actions, and if you never stop to challenge them, they become your truth. You can't build a strong life with a weak mindset. You can't take bold action when your thoughts are full of hesitation. You can't lead others if you're constantly questioning your own worth. That's why fixing your mindset is not optional. It's essential. It's the foundation. Without it, you'll keep fixing the symptoms while the root problem stays untouched. A fixed mindset believes effort is pointless. It says, this is just how things are. But a growth mindset says, I may not be where I want to be yet, but I can get there. That shift changes everything. It gives you power. It makes you take responsibility. It forces you to stop blaming the world and start improving yourself. Responsibility is key. If your mind is filled with blame, you will stay powerless. You'll wait for other people to change. You'll wait for life to be fair. And while you're waiting, your life stands still. But when you take ownership of your mindset, you stop waiting. You start building. You stop reacting to everything, and you start creating something that reflects your potential. But to get there, you've got to sit with your thoughts, not avoid them, not distract yourself. Sit with them. Look at the patterns. Look at the fears that drive your decisions. Look at the lies you've believed about yourself for years. That awareness is uncomfortable, but it's necessary. You can't clean something you won't face. You can't heal what you keep hiding from. Once you see those patterns clearly, you can start replacing them. You can decide, I'm not thinking like that anymore, and you don't need anyone's permission to make that shift. You don't need to explain it. You just need to do it one thought at a time, one new belief at a time, one decision at a time, to no longer be a prisoner of your old mindset. And yes, it takes effort. Your brain is used to the old pattern. It's trained to look for what's wrong, to avoid what's risky, to hold on to what's familiar. Changing that takes practice. It means choosing the new thought even when the old one feels more comfortable. It means reminding yourself daily that you are not your past, that you are not your mistake, that you are capable of learning, adapting, improving. Fixing your mindset is not about being positive all the time. It's about thinking in a way that's useful. That means being realistic, being grounded, and being focused on growth. It means asking, what can I learn from this? Instead of, why does this always happen to me? It means looking for solutions instead of just pointing out problems. It means deciding that your energy is too valuable to waste on thoughts that keep you small. You'll know your mindset is getting stronger when you stop needing things to be easy. When you stop chasing comfort and start chasing growth. When challenges don't make you collapse, they make you rise. That's when you know you've done the work. Not when life gets easier, but when your thoughts get stronger. It's a process. You won't get it perfect. But you don't need perfect. You need progress. You need to commit to thinking better than you did yesterday. You need to build the kind of mindset that can carry the weight of your goals. Because big goals demand strong thoughts. They demand discipline, resilience, focus, and belief. You can't think like a victim and live like a leader. You can't think like a quitter and act like a finisher. So ask yourself, what kind of thoughts run your mind when you're tired? When things fall apart, when someone doubts you, do you spiral into fear, or do you regroup and keep going? That's where your real mindset is revealed. Not in the good days, but in the hard one. A strong mindset doesn't mean you never feel fear. It means you feel it, and you move anyway. It means you don't let temporary emotions turn into permanent decisions. It means you pause, reflect, and act with intention. That's power, and that power is available to anyone who's willing to slow down and rewire the way they think. You have more control than you realize. You can decide what thoughts to feed and what thoughts to reject. You can choose to believe in your ability to grow. You can stop defining yourself by the worst things you've done. You can stop waiting for life to fix itself and start building from the inside out. That inner work is what sets you apart. It gives you a calm kind of strength. The kind that doesn't shout but doesn't shake either. The kind that moves with clarity. That makes decisions without needing approval. That shows up without needing attention. That stays focused while others fall off. Your life will rise or fall based on the strength of your thinking. Not the motivation you feel, not the support you have, not the luck you get, but the thoughts you choose. If you want to fix your life, start there. Fix your mindset. Clean it up. Strengthen it. Align it with the kind of person you want to become. Because once that's in place, everything else becomes easier to build. You'll take better action. You'll set better boundaries. You'll create better habits. You'll stop giving energy to things that drain you. You'll walk with more purpose. Not because life got easier, but because your thinking got stronger. That's where your new life begins. Not with a plan, not with a new job, not with better luck, but with a decision to think better than you've ever thought before. And from that place, everything can grow.
Chapter 8. Start acting like your time actually means something. If you want to change your life, the first thing you have to do is change how you treat your time. Your time is your life. If you waste your time, you waste your life. It's not complicated. What you give your minutes to is what your life becomes. And yet, most people act like time is something they have unlimited access to. They spend it like it costs nothing. They give it away to anything and anyone without even thinking. And then they wonder why nothing changes. You don't get a second life to try again. This is it. Every minute counts. Every hour has weight. And the sooner you start treating your time like it actually means something, the sooner your life starts to feel like it has direction. You can tell what someone values by how they spend their time. You don't need to ask. You just need to watch. What do they do with their free hours? Who do they allow to interrupt their schedule? What do they prioritize when no one is holding them accountable? Those things reveal everything. Time doesn't lie. It shows your habits, your priorities, your self-respect. If your time is scattered, your results will be too. When you start acting like your time has value, everything around you starts to change. You stop spending entire afternoons scrolling through your phone. You stop saying yes to things that leave you drained. You stop overcommitting to people who don't respect your boundaries. And instead, you start living like you're building something. You move with focus. You protect your schedule. You take control of your days before someone else fills them with distractions. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is, "I'll do it later." Later becomes a graveyard for potential. It sounds innocent, but it's deadly, because every time you delay something important, you train yourself to believe that your goals can wait, that your dream can be pushed to tomorrow, that your vision isn't urgent, but it is. You don't have forever. You don't have unlimited chances. And the people who move forward in life are the ones who understand that time is now. Think about all the things you've told yourself you'd start.
the skills you were going to learn, the routine you were going to build, the people you were going to reconnect with, the promises you made to yourself months ago. Where are they now? Still waiting, still on a list somewhere, still hiding behind excuses like I've been busy, or I'm just not ready yet. You're not too busy. You just haven't made it important, and you've been giving your time to things that don't matter as much. That's the real answer. And it's uncomfortable to admit. But it's also freeing. Because once you admit it, you can do something about it. You don't need more hours in a day. You need to start valuing the hours you already have. Every person gets the same 24 hours. The difference isn't time, it's discipline. It's how clearly you see what matters, and how willing you are to protect it. If you're not clear, life will hand you distractions, and call them opportunities. It will hand you noise and call it connection. It will hand you chaos, and call it busy. And if you're not careful, you'll spend your time chasing things that don't lead anywhere. You've got to ask yourself every day, is this helping me or wasting me? Is this building my vision, or is it pulling me away from it? Is this worth my time, or is it just stealing my focus? Those questions matter, because your time is either being used or being stolen. There's no in-between. And if you don't pause to check, you won't notice how much is being lost. Your time deserves more than randomness. It deserves structure. It deserves purpose. It deserves intention. That doesn't mean every second of your day has to be packed. It means the moments that matter don't get buried under distractions. It means the important work doesn't keep getting pushed to tomorrow. It means you make space for what moves your life forward, not just what fills your calendar. You don't get to complain about results you didn't work for, and you don't get to work for something you never made time for. If your time is going to entertainment but not growth, don't expect to feel fulfilled. If your time is going to comfort but not action, don't expect to feel proud. You get what you make room for, and that means you need to be ruthless about your schedule. Not because you want to do more, but because you want to do what matters. Cut the noise. Block the distractions. Turn down the invitations that don't align with your goals. Say no when it keeps you from your growth. You're not rude for protecting your time. You're smart. You're serious. You're clear about what you want, and that kind of clarity is rare. Most people float through life reacting to everything, but you're not here to float. You're here to build. You're here to improve. You're here to lead your life, not watch it pass you by. Every time you choose structure over chaos, you're telling yourself, my time matters. Every time you wake up and follow through with what you said you'd do, you're proving you can be trusted. That kind of consistency rewires your identity. You stop feeling scattered. You stop doubting yourself. You start moving with quiet confidence, knowing that your days aren't being wasted. They're being used. And no, you won't be perfect. Some days things will fall apart. You'll get distracted. You'll slip. That's okay. This isn't about perfection. It's about responsibility. It's about not living in denial. It's about being aware when your time is getting away from you and pulling it back before the day is gone. Start tracking your days, not just to be productive, but to be honest. Where did your time go? Who did you give it to? What did you build with it? And was it worth it? Those questions will keep you grounded. They'll make you think twice before you waste another hour doing something you don't even care about. You don't need a fancy routine. You need priority. You need clarity. You need the discipline to say, this is what I'm doing today, and the focus to follow through on it. That alone will change your life, because now you're not just living, you're leading. People who win with their time don't wait for the right mood. They build systems. They know their triggers. They avoid what drains them. They don't waste time arguing with distractions. They simply walk away, not out of ego, but out of purpose. They know their time is the one resource they can never earn back. So they move with care, with focus, with intention. You can do the same. You can decide that your hours are worth protecting, that your life is worth living with structure, that your goals deserve more than your leftovers. But that decision has to come from you. No one else will do it for you. No one else can. Stop saying, "I'll start when I have more time." That day doesn't exist. What exists is right now, this hour, this decision, this block of time you're holding right now. How are you using it? Is it building something or just passing by? Act like your time means something, because it does. Because once it's gone, it's gone. And when you look back one day, you won't regret the things you did. You'll regret the time you didn't protect, the time you gave to things that didn't matter, the time you wasted being distracted from what you were capable of becoming. You don't need a second chance. You just need to treat the first one like it matters. Your time is not something to kill. It's something to respect, to invest, to value, because the way you spend it is the way your life will feel. And you deserve to live a life that reflects your highest values, not your lowest impulses. So start acting like your time actually means something, and watch how everything else starts to change.
Chapter 9. Drop the excuses that keep you from changing. Excuses don't protect you, they trap you. They sound like reasons, but they're really just stories. Stories you've repeated so many times that they start to feel true. You say things like, "I'm too tired," "I don't have time," "I don't know where to start," or "I'm just not like other people." But underneath all of those sentences is one truth. You're afraid. And instead of facing that fear, you've chosen to cover it with an excuse, not because you're weak, but because it's easier. Excuses keep you safe, but they also keep you stuck. You'll never change your life until you drop the lies you keep telling yourself. The lie that you need someone else to believe in you first. The lie that you'll start when the timing is better. The lie that you've already missed your chance. These lies sound polite. They sound reasonable, but they are the walls between who you are and who you could be. As long as you keep hiding behind them, you will keep repeating the same life over and over. Change is uncomfortable. It forces you to admit that the way you've been living isn't working. It demands new effort, new habits, new standards, and yes, it demands truth, not fake positivity. Not surface-level motivation, truth. The kind that makes you squirm a little, the kind that makes you realize, "I've been the one in my own way." There's always a reason to wait, a reason to pause, a reason to do it later. You can find one today, tomorrow, and next year. But what happens when you've wasted 5 years and nothing has changed? You'll look back and realize the only thing that kept you from moving forward was a list of excuses that didn't actually matter. That's what regret feels like. It's not just pain, it's wasted time you can't get back. If you want a new life, you have to drop the excuses, not because it's easy, but because it's the only way. You have to stop saying, "I'm not ready," and start doing what someone who's ready would do. You have to stop looking at your situation and blaming your environment, your past, or your responsibilities. Those things are real, but they are not the reason you can't grow. They are the reason you must grow. You're not the only one with problems. You're not the only one who's been through pain. Everyone has a story. Everyone has reasons they could lean on if they wanted to. But the people who move forward are the ones who finally decide, "I'm done explaining my limits. I'm done defending what's not working." That moment is powerful. It doesn't come with applause. It doesn't feel like a breakthrough. It's quiet, personal, honest. It happens in the middle of an ordinary day, when you're sick of your own excuses, when you hear yourself say, "I don't have time," and realize you spent 3 hours on things that don't matter.
When you hear yourself say, "I don't know how," and realize you haven't even tried, that's when the shift happens. When you stop lying to yourself and start holding yourself to a higher standard, excuses feel safe because they remove responsibility. They allow you to blame something else. But every time you use one, you give up your power, you give away your control, you shrink your influence, and slowly you become a passive character in your own life. You start reacting to life instead of building it. You settle, you delay, you exist, but you don't grow. This isn't about being hard on yourself, it's about being real. You have goals that matter. You have potential that's been sitting still for too long, and the longer you feed yourself excuses, the longer you delay the person you were meant to become. That's a heavy cost, and you don't have to pay it anymore. You don't need to be perfect to begin. You don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to stop waiting for the perfect mood or the perfect moment. You need to stop saying, "I'll start next week," and realize that your future depends on what you do today, not tomorrow, not someday. Today. You might think you're protecting yourself by playing small. You might think that by avoiding the risk, you're staying safe. But what you're really doing is choosing fear over freedom. You're choosing short-term comfort over long-term growth. And every time you make that choice, it gets harder to break the cycle. It's not the excuses that hurt the most. It's what they cost you: the missed opportunities, the lost time, the confidence that never got built, the goals that never turned into reality. That's the weight you carry when you keep lying to yourself about why you haven't changed. But you can drop that weight. You can drop the excuse that your past defines your future. You can drop the excuse that your environment decides your limits. You can drop the excuse that you're waiting for a sign. You are the sign. Your desire to grow is the proof that it's time. Start by noticing your language. When you say, "I can't," ask yourself, is that really true, or is it just easier to say that? When you say, "I don't have time," look at where your hours are actually going. When you say, "It's too late," remind yourself that people have changed their lives at every age, in every situation, with fewer resources than you have right now. You don't need permission to change. You need a decision. A decision to stop explaining and start execute. A decision to stop talking about change and start living it. And that decision is yours to make. Every single day. The most successful people aren't excuse-free. They're just excuse-aware. They notice when one shows up, and they don't let it run the show. They feel tired, and they still show up. They feel unsure, and they still take action. They don't wait to feel ready. They act until readiness catches up. You can do the same. You don't have to feel like it to do it. You just have to decide that your vision matters more than your comfort, that your future matters more than your fear, that your growth matters more than your excuses. This isn't about never struggling. You will struggle. But there's a difference between struggling and quitting. There's a difference between facing challenges and running from responsibility. Your excuses will always have a voice, but you get to choose if they control the story. Excuses don't live outside of you. They live in your choices. You don't break free from them with words. You break free with action, with ownership, with the courage to admit, "I've been playing small, but I'm done." You don't owe your past self anything. You don't have to keep being the person who gave up. You don't have to stay loyal to the version of you that kept waiting. You can outgrow your excuses. You can outwork your fears. You can outlast your doubts. But only if you start now. You're not stuck. You're just believing the wrong story. You're not lost. You're just distracted. You're not weak. You're just tired of carrying the weight of your own excuses. So drop them, one by one, All of them. And watch what happens when you stop giving your energy to what holds you back and start giving it to what lifts you up. No more excuses. Not now. Not tomorrow. Just action. Just truth. Just effort. That's where real change begins. That's where your new life starts. And it starts with you, not when you're ready, but when you're real. Chapter 10. Prove to yourself that this time is different. This time only matters if you make it matter. You've said it before. You've told yourself you were going to change. You've had moments where you felt fired up, motivated, ready. You made promises to yourself. You wrote things down. You started strong. But something always pulled you back. Maybe it was distraction. Maybe it was fear. Maybe it was just old habits trying to survive. But whatever it was, it stopped you. And now you're here again, standing at the edge of your potential, trying to decide if this is going to be another repeat of the past, or the start of something real. If you want this time to be different, you have to act different. Not think different, not talk different. Act. Because change doesn't happen in your head. It happens in your behavior. It shows up in the actions you repeat, not the feelings you have. Feelings come and go, but behavior, that's what leaves a mark. That's what builds momentum. That's what separates a breakthrough from another broken promise. You've probably been let down before by yourself. You've said you'd stay consistent, but you didn't. You've told people you'd show up, but you cancelled. You've looked in the mirror and said, "This time I mean it," and then watched yourself fall back into the same patterns a week later. And that's where the trust broke, not with the world, but with you. So now it's not about proving anything to anyone else. It's about proving it to yourself. That's the real test. Can you be the kind of person you can count on? Can you make a decision and follow through even after the emotion is gone? Can you keep moving forward even when nobody's cheering for you? That's what this is about. Rebuilding trust with yourself through action. That's real, consistent, and grounded. Don't get caught up in motivation. It's never enough. What matters is follow through. What matters is whether your daily actions match the life you say you want. This time is only different if you make it different, and that doesn't happen in a single decision. It happens in the next choice you make when it's uncomfortable. It happens in the quiet moments when nobody sees what you're doing. It happens in the boring days when is exciting, but you show up anyway. There's a version of you that keeps showing up at the start line, full of fire, full of ideas, full of plans, but the finish line, that's where things fall apart. And it's not because you're not capable. It's because you haven't pushed through the middle part, the messy part, the routine, the struggle, the part where you feel like nothing's working. That's where most people quit. That's where most promises die. But not this time. This time you stop needing fast results. You stop needing perfection. You stop needing approval. You show up because your future is worth it. You push through because you've had enough of repeating the same cycle. You stay focused because proving it to yourself means more than impressing anyone else. You've lived enough life to know how this goes. You start strong and then distractions creep in. You miss one day, then another. Suddenly your goal feels distant again. And what do you tell yourself? I'll try again later. Maybe this wasn't the right time. Maybe I'm not ready. But deep down you know none of that is true. You don't need more time. You don't need to be more ready. You need to stop backing down from the things that test you. Every time you start again, you lower your belief in your ability to finish. And belief is everything. It shapes your attitude. It decides whether you push forward or fall back. You can't fake belief. You build it. And the only way to build it is by keeping your word to yourself. This time, you don't need a dramatic overhaul. You need discipline. You need to wake up and do what matters. Not once, every day. Especially on the days you don't feel like it. Especially when the results are slow. Especially when no one notices but you. And if you've failed before, good. That failure taught you something. It showed you where the cracks are. It showed you what triggers your downfall. Use that. Don't ignore it. Don't pretend it didn't happen. Study it. What caused you to stop last time? What excuse did you lean on? What habit dragged you backward? Name it. Face it. Change it. This isn't about being perfect. It's about being real. Being honest enough to say, here's where I usually mess up, and here's what I'm going to do differently this time. That's strength. That's growth. That's what makes this time feel different. Not hype, but strategy. Not hope, but effort. You need to move with urgency, not panic, but purpose. You've wasted enough time already. You've waited long enough. You've given your past enough chances to control you. Now it's your turn to take control, not through big talk, not through flashy goals, but through small, consistent, deliberate actions. That's where change lives. In the choice to show up early, in the decision to follow through on what you said, in the discipline to keep going even when the old voice in your head tells you to quit. That voice will come. It always does. It's the voice of the old you, but this time, you don't listen. This time you respond with action. You prove it wrong by showing up, and over time you'll start to notice something. You'll begin to feel proud, not just for the results, but for the effort. You'll feel stronger because you kept going when it would have been easier to stop. You'll feel grounded because you didn't let your past write your future. Your life changes when your identity changes, and identity shifts through action. When you act like someone who follows through, you become someone who follows through. When you act like someone who doesn't negotiate with excuses, you stop needing to convince yourself. It becomes who you are. But it starts with this moment, with the decision to treat this time like it matters. Not just today, but every day. Not just when it's easy, but when it's hard. Not just when it's exciting, but when it's boring. This time is different when you are different, and you become different through repetition, through discipline, through refusing to repeat the same patterns that kept you stuck. You don't need to announce your change, just live it. Let your results speak. Let your consistency show. Let your habits prove that this isn't another phase. It's a shift, a new standard, a new way of living. Quiet, focused, intentional. You've got everything it takes to follow through. You've always had. The only thing standing between where you are and where you want to be is the story you keep telling yourself. Change the story. Change the action. Change your life. This time prove it to yourself, not because anyone else needs to believe it, but because you do. Because you've lived with the frustration of false starts. Because you know what it feels like to fall short. Because you're done with that version of you, and now you're ready to become someone you can be proud of. So no more waiting, no more excuses, no more delays. Start now, move forward, and don't stop until your life matches the vision you've held inside for so long. Prove to yourself that this time is different, because it can be, because it will be, because this time you're not just saying it, you're living it, every single day.